Welcome Appsters to our October webinar, which is about writing the perfect title. And it's not like it used to be in the good old days where you just stuff a bunch of words into the title. That used to be really effective because of the technology behind search. And things have really evolved, and search engines, not just on eBay, but with Google and Amazon and wherever anybody types a search, they're trying to become very predictive of human behavior and desire. Not even just behavior, but what does that human want? And you have to remember that technology has gotten so evolved that we can't even begin to fathom all the little bits and pieces that go into deciding what's the best results to bring to people. For instance, Google knows from your computer's identification number, your ISP number, it knows searches you've done before. It knows what sites you've gone to. It knows who you are. Okay, let's face it. And, it's kind of scary how much information about us is out there. But truly, they do that so that they can collect enough information that when you do a search, they can bring you back the results that are most likely to make you happy. With Google, it's trying to give you the information that you're seeking, along with helping its advertisers put the right things in front of you. So now think of this on eBay. What eBay is trying to accomplish is not just to come up with a bunch of results based on those words somebody typed in, but to come up with those results based on what they think somebody's most likely to click on and buy. So again, eBay has a lot of information about their users' behavior. They know if that particular buyer is putting in the same word for several different things. They know if that buyer is sorting by price. They know if that buyer is sorting by highest first in the price. I don't want you guys to discount that one because that is actually how my buyers are sorting, which is a very cool thing. Let's see, what else do they know? They know if they're clicking certain filters. Are they clicking the free shipping filter? Are they clicking on new items only? eBay has a lot of that information about each particular user, and technology is such that they can use that in order to bring best match results. And the best match search filter came about several years ago, and over the last couple of years, it's really been the go-to default mobile and PC. You can't even just keep it on a preference anymore. It automatically resorts to the best match, even though people may filter differently from that. So what we have to keep in mind, and why I'm really, really strong on this whole idea of having a niche, is because when you have a niche and you know who that particular type of customer is that's searching for your items, you can do a much better job with your titles and your keywords and all of that stuff. So to keep that in the back of your mind, but you can still be thinking about each item that you're listing and who that ideal customer is for that item and writing your titles accordingly. So that's what we're really going to go into. All right. Let's okay. So titles really are what makes the difference between a customer, or I should say a potential customer, tuning out, and moving right by your listing, or they seek more. And we want them, well, first of all, you want to come up in their search if it's something that you have and they're searching for. So, I mean, that's a given. But once you come up, the idea is for a conversion to take place, and that would be clicking on the listing. That's the first conversion that has to take place. And eBay is now starting to give you some of this information in your traffic reports, and as soon as the Seller Hub comes out, you're going to get a lot more of this information to really see what those conversion rates are, to be able to test, what words are working, what words aren't, that type of thing. But I wanted to start with, we're going to be going through a series of like perfecting these listings, and I wanted to start with titles because it is the absolute number one, because it's first what gets the search engine to actually bring up your items, which is what we want it to do, because there's no chance of conversion if nobody sees your stuff, right? And I know there's a lot of talk out there about how views have gone down on items. We used to see hundreds of views on an item, and now maybe it comes down to like 20. And that can seem a little troublesome, but I don't want you to be worried about that, because what eBay's doing is bringing it in front of less people who have the most likelihood of buying your item. So that's what it's all about. And that's really what you want. You want to concentrate the field of potential buyers to those, not that just want to click over and look at your listing, but those who really have an interest in actually purchasing it. So that's what we want. So titles are the key to getting your item found when a potential customer does a search. I always do this too. I created the PowerPoint so I know what it says, so I tend to get a little bit ahead of it, so I apologize. But the way this happens, here, and I'm going to be on top of it this time, is with a formula that I use. It's using three things. It's keywords, relevance, and readability. All right, and we're going to go through all three and talk about what these mean. So you've heard a lot of talk about keywords. We know what keywords are. They're those words that, click, there we go. They're those words that you use to have somebody find your items. Now, how do you know what keywords to use? I will show you a real-life example of this in a little bit, but basically here's what I do. I have an item in front of me. I know the basics of what that item is, and this is another strong reason for niche. The more you niche, the more you're going to know your keywords. The more you're going to know what that item is that you're shopping for and that you're listing. You're going to really have a lot of repeatables, which is going to save you time, and it's going to get you more money. But there's certain genres and demographics of shoppers that use different words for things. One example is, let's take pants. So a lot of people, this is what I call them, we call them pants. Some people still call them trousers. Some people call them slacks, or, there's different words depending on who it is you're actually trying to sell that item to. And it used to be we could just stuff the title, put all the words in there. And what happens now is if you're putting all the words in there, you're diluting your title for the ideal customer, which means diluting it for coming up at the top of best match, which is the goal, right? So you really want to get firm on who you are trying to sell that item to, what demographic. Are they a millennial, which is like the 18 to 35-year-olds? Is it a baby boomer? Who is it? And find those words that they use, because that's what you want to be repeating. And don't try to stuff all the words in the title that you think somebody might possibly put in that search engine, okay? So this means shorter titles, because it's a math ratio, right? If somebody's only typing in 3 words into the search to find things, and you have 10 words in your title, and a competitor has 5 words in their title, which one do you think is going to come up first with all else being equal? It's going to be the one with less words, because mathematically that one better matches what the customer's putting into the search. So keep that in mind. Bigger, longer titles is not better. You want to really be succinct and get just the right words in there. Now that doesn't mean if an item, and this happens a lot with electronics in particular, that's one case I can think of, is that there will be you know, the brand, the model, the oh gosh, you know, different aspects of that item that have to be in the title because that is things that people are searching for. So I'm not saying not to use those, okay? I'm more talking about, let's say you have a coffee mug, and we're going to use a coffee mug example a lot here. You have a coffee mug, you don't want to say mug, cup, coffee mug, all one word. You know, you don't want to try to squeeze every possible thing in there. You want to just call it what you're going to call it. Now, you always have the option, if it doesn't sell in a certain time period, change it up, test other words. That's the best time to do that, and then see how quickly things are selling, because then you'll be on to something that really resonates with your customers. And got asked the question, is this for Etsy too? This is for any place that people are searching. This is the new search technology, and you can be sure that all the big places are using it. If Google's using it, if Google's doing it, you can be sure that eBay and Etsy and Amazon and Google are kind of on the same plane as far as search. Those are both the mega search engines. So if they're doing it, then you definitely want to be using it on all the sites that you sell on. And it's going to go to my next point, which is relevance. And basically the definition of relevance is pertinence to the matter at hand. Relevance is a term used to describe how pertinent, connected, or applicable some information is to a given matter. And this is the buzzword of 2015 for search, is relevance. And that means your people who are going over to eBay and typing in a search engine, even if they're just browsing, they still have I wanted to say destination. They don't have a destination in mind unless they're going on a cruise. They have a subject matter in mind. They have already in their mind pictured the type of results that they want to get, right? You guys have done this. You kind of know what you're looking for. You may not know exactly the one you're going to buy. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like sometimes, but you know what you're hoping comes up and what's going to grab your attention. So this is the job of the search engine, is to get inside the mind of the shopper and try to figure out, you know, what is it they really want to see? What are they looking for? And to bring back the results that are going to just make that person really happy. Let me go back 1 second, if my computer will cooperate here. I'm going to give you an example. And this is something you can go and do this search in real time and tell me if this is how this happens. So keywords. Let's just say I have in front of me to list, I have a coffee mug that is from the Disney store and it has Grumpy on it, okay? So shopper comes along and they're looking for a Disney mug with Grumpy, okay? Now when I did this example, I came back with 371 results, just putting in Disney mug Grumpy, right? Now, they know that this particular mug came from the Disney store. So now if you do the search, Disney store mug Grumpy, that should reduce your search results. For me, it came back with about 92, okay? So now, instead of competing with 371 potential sellers there, we've just now reduced it to 92. And I did this yesterday, so today the numbers may vary. But the result should still be the same. You're going to get a much more defined sample of what comes back. Now, This customer also knows that they want an oversized mug, or perhaps they want a travel mug. Either one of those words would further define it down, and when I put in oversized, it gave me back 2 listings. Boom, make a choice, right? I didn't try travel, but you can test it with that one. Because that customer knew exactly what they were looking for, so the seller who has those words in their title, boom, they're the ones that are going to get their results for that ideal customer who now has a very limited choice to make and hopefully wants to make one from what you have to offer. I also want to say that while this webinar is all about titles, I would be very remiss not to mention that photos and price are also really key elements in the search algorithm. They all work together, so we can't just do this on title alone. In fact, once your item comes up because of the title, you can be sure that your picture is the next thing that is going to be super, super important, okay? You can also look, when you do these test searches, do some playing around with the results and sort them by best match, leave it at best match, but go and look at the very, very last results and see if there's anything there that rings true. What I tend to find are big, long titles, punctuation in the titles, and poor pictures, right? And that's probably what you'll see too. The other thing that's going to come up toward the end in a best match search is things that have been listed an incredibly long time that have just not gotten a lot of love in the way of customer interaction. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute as well. And then back to relevance. I wanted to go back so that I can come back now to that grumpy mug sample and thinking of the potential customer out there. So you've got different people buying for different reasons. And as I said, the person who knows that that item was from the Disney store, that now becomes very, very relevant to them. And so that becomes very relevant to search. So eBay is going to push down the results that don't include the word store, even though it may still bring samples of mugs that just have Disney Grumpy in them, Disney Grumpy mug in them. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? A good question, Bob. He says, would you put the names of the other dwarfs in the title as well for someone maybe not thinking of Grumpy Mug and searched for a dock mug? Perfect example of while you could do that and try to grab that buyer is the exception, not the rule. For the most part, if somebody put in the title that they were looking for a grumpy mug, then you want them to come back with results for grumpy mug. And if you have put the other dwarfs names in there, number one, it's going to push you down in search, but number two, it may also disappoint your dopey or happy or sleepy buyer, right? Because it doesn't include that dwarf. Does that make sense? You don't want to just throw a net and try to catch buyers. We used to be able to do that. Used to be, you know, people were just window shopping, and we are a very much more defined shopping experience now. Amazon has really become the powerhouse because of this. People go over to Amazon, they know what they want. And Amazon used the one catalog page rule to really help people just make that choice. And they make the choice of which seller they're going to buy it from, right? Those of you selling on Amazon know that there can be 100 different sellers on one item's page, but Amazon's decided which one of those people is going to get that, what they call the buy box, and get that sale at any particular time. So with eBay, we don't have a buy box, but we do have that first page of search results, which you can kind of call the equivalent of a buy box a little bit. Not quite the same because they still have the choice, but it is equivalent to what gets the sale because you want to come up in that first page. So we have to really, really think like these buyers. So you want to, instead of thinking about how you can come up in best match, because I know that's what a lot of you are now going, okay, how do I, make sure that the robots want to see my item first? And I want you to just get that out of your system. Just throw that away. What you want to do is you want to think like the buyer. And the more niched you are, the easier that'll be. The less niched you are, the more you're going to have to think of it on an item-by-item basis, okay? But if you can really think like the buyer and think whatever that item is that you are holding in your hands, if you are somebody searching for that, what would you put in the search box? Not all the words you would call it and all the ways you would describe it, but it was like, what would you be putting into that search box to have that item come up? I'm looking around me for an example. Lord knows I have enough stuff around me to come up with an example. So I have in my hands, I'll describe it to you first. It is a metal wine holder in the shape of a bicycle. How's that? Obviously, I can't put that in my title, right? So I'm thinking if somebody was looking for a wine holder shaped like a bicycle, they're probably going to type into search bicycle wine holder, right? So that's what I'll call it. I'll call it a bicycle wine holder. And then I can add that it's black metal or any other words that can go with it. But those first, the first 3 to 5 words are your gold. Those are the ones you want to make sure have the right phrasing of your customers. Question was, so only use all 80 characters if the words are relevant. Correct. So if you're listing a nightstand, don't call it an end table as well and put living room in the title. Bingo. Bingo, Bob. And the thing about that is you can always go back and reword the title later if that first way you called it didn't get it sold, right? You can play with that and test that, especially if you're selling in multi-quantity and you've got an item that, you've got 100 of them to move, let's say, and you look the first 2 weeks and you don't sell a single one, it might be time to play with that title and play with those words so that you can get that item moving. Right. Can you list it a second way with totally different title and change the category? If you have enough stock, absolutely. What you don't want to do is list the same item when you only have one for sale, because you do not want to have 2 sell and not be able to fulfill those orders. So you want to avoid having to cancel any transactions, but sure, you can absolutely list the same item 2 different ways and test the market. That's A/B testing. That's A/B testing in all of its glory. And if you have the ability to do that with the items you sell, then I say absolutely go for it. Go for it. I want to tell you about a site, and if I can get over to, my browser. I think that takes me there. Oh, nope, that didn't do it. Hold on one second, guys. They changed the way that this works. Here we go. Okay. I want to show you this. This is a site called Merchant Words, and it is a site I use a lot, and it'll up there you go. Now you can see it. I use this a lot for keywords because it is better than Google AdWords, which is another place you can search for the type of words people are typing in. But Merchant Words works directly off of Amazon searches, and because Amazon is the absolute powerhouse of the e-commerce world, I mean, it is just night and day from any other site out there, including eBay. So we have to look at it as this is what people are searching into an actual e-commerce site to find things. And if anybody's interested, you can, get this special deal. They made me a special page to offer to you guys, which is merchantwords.com / the Danni App, and it's $9 a month. So let me show you how it works, because we're gonna do a little search here. And let me go back, because some of you are asking questions about duplicates. You cannot have duplicate items, but what makes a listing not a duplicate is if you have different titles, different category, different description, and different pictures. Then it's by all means a different item as far as the eyes of eBay. What you can't do is have exactly the same item listed. Does that make sense, Molly? Great. Carolyn says she does that. Yep. Yes, it works for eBay too. Absolutely. Okay, so merchant words. Let's put in our grumpy mug example, okay? And what I'm going to do, whoops, not grumpy. All right, so you're going to get results, and I like to sort this by highest search volume. That's and so you can see these are actually searches that people have done on Amazon. So obviously the first one that comes up is grumpy cat. So we don't have grumpy cat, but grumpy mug. Check this out. 245,000 searches per month for a grumpy mug. Nice, right? Grumpy coffee mug, 2,400 people are putting that in. Grumpy dwarf mug, Disney grumpy mug, 1,500. Disney grumpy coffee mug, 1,000. So this gives you like some real good indications of how people are actually searching for this. What's interesting is you do have people who are searching for very specific mugs, and you can see like I hate mornings grumpy mug. Now, even though the search results was less than 100, what we don't get to see with merchant words is what the conversion rate was on that. Because for me, if I can come up to somebody who's specifically looking for the I hate mornings grumpy mug and I have that mug, guess what? I only need one person to buy it. Or if I have several, then of course I want several people to buy it. But you can see how that works. Grumpy stubborn, grumpy cute. But these are searches. But what you don't see in these searches, especially in the higher numbers, is, 80 character searches, right? That's the biggest point. The difference between merchant words and Terapeak keywords is Terapeak is based mostly on eBay searches, and merchant words is off of Amazon searches. And you might be saying, yes, Danny, but you're listing on eBay. Why wouldn't you want to use the eBay search criteria? Because I don't necessarily want to grab just the attention of the eBay shopper. I want to go after those, millions of people also shopping and searching for things on Amazon. Because if I have the right titles, that's going to make me more likely to come up in a Google search too. Grabbing your questions here, guys. Yes, you know what? I hate to say this, but I just rarely use Terapeak anymore. I use Terapeak for looking at competitor information, but when it comes down, see, here's my thing. You know me, guys. Time is money. Time is money. And number one, I find Terapeak's login and results just so tedious, waiting. It's too slow. I want to get what I want really quick and go and finish my listing and be done. So merchant words works really fast, and I can get what I need from it and go and make my listing. You don't need a code. You just need to go to the URL merchantwords.com/the Danni App. That should take you to the page that has the discount. All right, groovy. And really, you guys, it is far better to come up, say, in 19 results than 1900 results, right? That's why really keying in on what your customer is typing in and coming as close to that as possible without adding anything extra is going to give you the higher probability of coming up to a customer that has the most likelihood of clicking over and buying your item. Because it doesn't matter how many times you come up in a search if nobody buys. I mean, ultimately, we want the right people seeing your items, not just everybody. And that's why I'm really, really against this practice of just putting a link out there for the sake of getting people to share it and post it and pin it and do all that stuff, because then it's going out to a lot of irrelevant people. That didn't sound right. There are no irrelevant people. You know what I mean. People that aren't looking for that item are just not, I mean, sure, they're going to share it and, you know, maybe, and this is what's really bad is that if they click on it and they have like absolutely no chance of buying that item, then they're just pushing you down in search. They're actually doing the opposite of what you want that type of marketing to do. So now where it does pay to share links and things, and this is getting a little off topic, is in a group that has to do with your niche. So if you sell items for busy working moms and you're in a busy working moms group, go ahead and share your link, right? Because that's a crowd that has more relevance to the items you're selling. All right, that was just a little aside there. Non-interested people, that is a much better term. Thank you for correcting me on that one. I knew as soon as it came out of my mouth, that just did not sound right. So if you sell used clothing, how is the Amazon search results good for you? Good question. Because people who are searching for that stuff are searching for that stuff, new, used. The difference between the person who's looking for the used item and the person looking for the new item could be just on they're trying to get a better deal, right? And I find that when clothing buyers are over on eBay searching, they're not clicking on the condition filter until the results come up. So you still have a chance to sell your used item to somebody who doesn't know whether or not, you know, they're going to be shopping new or used. But if your picture's good and your title's good, and I'm going to get to my next point here, which is going to like bring this all together, they'll click over, and if they like what they see, they'll buy, even if it is used. Granted, there are some people who are just never going to buy used clothing, and that's not your customer, right? But you do have the chance to grab that Amazon shopper type customer. I say type because obviously these people are on eBay, because if everything works for them, they're still going to buy even though it's used, because Amazon doesn't sell used clothing. So people can only, you know, put in what they can put in there. So if I'm listing that grumpy mug, is it okay to use general keywords like boys, girls, Christmas, birthday, mom, dad, gift when people search? Will they put boys, birthday, gift, or a variation in their search? I would say no. I think that the person who is looking for a boy's birthday gift has an idea in mind what they're looking for. They're not putting in boy's birthday gift because the results are going to be so general. And even if they put that in and your item did manage to come up, then you still have this huge competition of like, what are they really looking for? They don't know. So you're going to have a higher likelihood of actually gaining a sale if somebody is searching for that, you know, let's go back to my grumpy mug. If somebody knows that they want that Disney Store grumpy mug and that's what your title says, and then that result comes up, you are much more likely to get that sale and get that sale quickly versus hoping to grab the person who's looking for the boy's birthday gift. Because if you have boy's birthday gift in the title with all the other stuff, it's going to push you down in the relevance results. So brings us to the last point of this, And this is one that a lot of eBay sellers are missing. And this is a biggie. And right now, I will tell you, a lot of eBay sellers are getting away with not doing this because of the mass quantity of listings that are still out there. So remember, this is evolving. So you are getting on the cutting edge of the way the technology works and getting a head start against all those other sellers who are not doing this yet. So we as humans have a way that we read. Our brain looks at something and makes sense of it. And I see a lot of titles out there that are just a lot of jumbled words. They're not in any order. They're just there. And I know from browsing and shopping, I'm an impulse shopper. I go and start like looking through things. I'm skimming. And I can guarantee you I'm not alone, because we are kind of this fast-paced, society now where we're looking fast and we're going to grab what grabs our attention. And if the words don't read right to your brain, it's not going to catch what that item is exactly. Now, granted, a picture can overcome this a lot. That's why I said this all kind of goes together. Pictures can compensate for bad titles many times. If you got like these awesome pictures that say exactly what the item is, and the title was good enough for the search engine to bring the item up, you can still get the sale. So that can work. But the biggest likelihood will be if not only do you have the great picture, but you have the very succinct, readable title that tells the brain what the item is. Now, think of it, somebody isn't just clicking over out of curiosity. They're clicking over because this is what they want. And if everything else on that page is what they want to see, they're going to buy it, right? So think of it like you would want to read a title. And I have actually started throwing in some words like with, the, and, spelled out. Don't use ampersands, which is a little symbol and. You want to use and, right? And while the search engine, little robot guys, don't read that, the human brain does. The human brain sees it and it makes sense, and it makes somebody more likely to click over and buy that item. So that is the piece that really kind of wraps it all together, is you've got the right keywords, you came up in search, and then it was relevant to that customer who's searching for the item, and then your title is readable. Okay? So who's ready to hear some things that you absolutely should not be doing in your titles? I'm going to should on you. Haven't done that for a while. All right. Here's what you absolutely don't want to do. All caps. All caps is now seen as unprofessional. It is seen as, the technical term out there, or not so technical term out there in webland, is that it's yelling. Now, granted, I have worked with a lot of sellers who have vision deficits, and they use the all caps because they can see it easier. So I get that there's some exceptions, but what you really want to try to do, and this actually goes back to the readability factor, is that you want to write it like a title. So remember back in school when we had to write our book reports, and the title of a book is each word that isn't, one of those little off words. Gosh, isn't that terrible? I can't remember the name of them. Conjunctions and all those little things. But the main words in a title need to be capitalized. For all caps, how about part of the title? I use caps for book titles, but not for the rest of the listing. I wouldn't use it for a book title. Sometimes if there's something that you just really want to stand out, like one word, you can use it all caps and get away with it because it's just drawing attention if that word's really important. But for the most part, there's more, yeah, Give me a really good example of where that would be used. You know, Stephen, if you want to give me an item number, we'll look. But for the most part, you just don't want to do it. You just want to do it. Where to find best match and what is it? So best match is eBay's default search filter. So whenever you do a search on eBay, what's going to come back is best match results, okay? And basically that is this whole algorithm of trying to predict what the potential customer wants to see and hoping that they bring up the results that have the most likelihood for them to make a purchase. All right, punctuation, and I still see a lot of this going on. So the times you do want to use punctuation is if it is actually part of the word, such as using a comma, you know, like if the word is don't, you obviously don't want to write the word don't without the apostrophe, not the comma, apostrophe, jeez. You don't want to use things like exclamations, question marks, hashes, dashes, slashes, and commas. You don't want to use commas. So all of those things, and ampersands. You don't want to use ampersands as well. And even if the ampersand is part of the word, try to avoid using it. Now, I did find an exception that seems to work okay, and that's M&Ms. M&Ms is M ampersand M apostrophe S, still comes up very well in search, which is probably something that eBay has like added in there just because it's nobody writes M&Ms any other way. So I was told that it's better to use general words at the beginning of the title like metal bed frame, but in reality you should lead with twin size metal bed frame. Be more, yeah, and just think about it. So if you're the buyer, you're searching to buy a twin size metal bed frame, that twin size is a really important piece. I mean, that is what you're putting in there. Because if you just put metal bed frame, you're going to get king, queen, full size, double, you know. So the shopper who really knows they need a twin size metal bed frame, that's what they're going to be typing into search. And if that is the first 5 words of your listing, guess what the search engine's going to say is most relevant to that customer. Yeah, bingo. The pound sign or number sign. Susan, give me an example where that would be important to a title, because I think for the most part, I can't think of when that would be something that would be used. Oh, good. So I'll answer that question in a second, Bob. Let me just go to the third piece in this is words that don't matter, which is a little bit what we've been talking about, but don't use words like new, nice, like. Like can actually get you in trouble because that assumes that you're listing something that is like a brand name but isn't the brand name. So that one, that's keyword spamming. That can really get you in a not nice place with eBay. But really use only words that are relevant. I barely even use colors anymore. Only if the color is definitely something that people would put in. So if something has a variation of colors out there, some sort of collectible, then yes. In glass particularly, there's colors of glass that people specifically look for, like ruby glass or cranberry glass. So then I use a color. But if it's like a piece of clothing that comes in red, I generally just put that down in the item specifics because the search engine searches the item specifics as well for that relevance. And there's certain categories where those are pre-filled and you just add in the elements. Those are really searchable by the search engine. So I tend to leave those things out of the title. Now, if something has a brand name that people are searching for, because there's the key, then yes, your brand name goes first. Because let's think, so you gave an example, Little Tikes kitchen playset. That's probably what people are putting into the search word. And you know what? Let's play with that one. Let's go, if I can get back over to the internet. There we go. All right. Okay, so you said Little Tikes kitchen playset. Let's just see. Look at that. Little Tikes kitchen playset is absolutely what people are typing into the search. Kitchen playset Little Tikes, and this is great that it's showing this. Less than 100 people are switching that around. Basically what this was like afterthought. Kitchen playset, let's add Little Tikes, right? They didn't quite know they wanted Little Tikes or not. But if it's something that people are typing into the search, then that's what you have, then that's what you want to use is those first words. Let's just play with this a little bit and take out Little Tikes. Ta-da! Now here's your customers who don't care if it's Little Tikes or not, but in this case, they cared that it was a girls' kitchen playset, right? Or a kitchen playset for girls or kitchen playset for toddlers. Different customer with a different mindset. So that's where if you use Little Tikes kitchen playset and it doesn't sell, perhaps you switch it up and you go after the girls' kitchen playset market, right? Okay. What about for inches in title? So Gary, this is one that I very seldom put the inches in the title unless, again, it is something that is very specific to the item and say it came in different, like the customer knows that it comes in a 12-inch edition and a 24-inch edition, then you would just want to put 24, and I would use the little inch symbol. I do put that in the title. But for the most part, the size should go down in your item specifics and not in the title, because most people are not putting in a dimension because they may not know, unless, like I said, it is one of those examples where it's being out there marketed as, you know, the such and such edition of something. You have a migraine with a volume and number. Oh, you have a magazine. I thought the numbers were getting to you, Susan. So you have a magazine with a volume and number. Great example then. Yes, absolutely. If people are searching for that magazine by that number. Okay, so if people are actually putting in, can you give me an example of the title of the magazine? I don't even need the volume or the number. I just need the title of the magazine, and we'll play with that. Would you recommend Navajo earrings turquoise or turquoise earrings Navajo? I actually would probably say turquoise Navajo earrings. I mean, if I was searching and I knew I wanted turquoise earrings and I knew I wanted Navajo earrings, I'm going to say turquoise Navajo earrings. Say it out loud and like make it make sense as if you were talking to somebody, because when you say Navajo earrings turquoise, you can hear how that's disconnected. Turquoise earrings Navajo sounds like the Navajo is an afterthought, but if you say turquoise Navajo earrings, hear how that flows together? That's the way the brain goes, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And Kathy, I hope that we talked about the inch thing. Okay, great example, Stephen, that people use the pound sign a lot for comics or series numbers. So in that case, absolutely use it. Even though I will tell you, the search technology probably doesn't see, and I say probably because I am not an engineer. I don't know what the absolute current coding is and technology is on that, but it used to be it didn't see it at all. It didn't read that pound sign. It sees the number. So if people are putting that pound sign number in, the search engine is seeing the name of the comic and the number and bringing up the results. So you wouldn't put the word girls in the title like Little Tikes Kitchen Playset Girls Learning Toy. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because again, you're going to be diluting the title. So something like a Little Tikes Kitchen Playset, people very specifically know that that's what they're going to look for. So if that's what your title says, that's what they're looking for, the search engine is going to go, bam, I got the right item for this customer. When you add in the girls learning toy, you're assuming that the customer doesn't know what a Little Tikes kitchen play set is for, and you're also trying to catch, the buyer who may not have put Little Tikes in there, right? But they probably put kitchen play set, so you're okay. Ounces, if ounces is relevant, and this is a tricky one, because if somebody doesn't know the ounce of a coffee mug, that's going to be more like maybe a collector issue, or I would say if somebody's concerned about the ounces that the mug holds, are they putting in the ounces, or are they putting in big, or are they putting in oversized or extra large, right? Think about who that buyer is and why they would be putting ounces into the search, and put that stuff into the item specific. Okay, Geek Magazine. Geek Magazine. Let's take a look, because this is going to tell us how people are searching. Notice not one of these has even a number in it. Geek Magazine, 19,000 per month. Geek Magazine subscription. Cereal Geek Magazine, Raspberry Pi, Geek Fantasy Magazine, Geek Out Magazine. Yeah, so no numbers put in there. No numbers. What we can do, let's go over, this isn't quite as technical, but here's another way you can look at things. Oh, not Mabazine. How about magazine? All right, let's fix that. Okay, so notice best match comes up. So we got Geek Magazine, Volume 1, Number 6, Geek Monthly Magazine, Issue 4. Notice pound, no pound, didn't matter, came up in best match search. You go down. Notice that the numbers are, 4 or 5 words in. Now, if we do this little trick, I'm going to go highest first, and I'm going to look at solds. I always care about what's sold for the highest price. That's why I search by that. And let's see. You know what? It's looking like that pound sign is not so important. I'm telling you, the pound sign is not what made the sale. It was the number. It was the use of the word Geek Magazine. And there you go. So I probably wouldn't put it in, because I'd rather err on the side of caution of the search engine actually bringing up the item versus worrying about whether or not that pound symbol is relevant. Very true, Carolyn. She says, who says kitchen play sets are for girls? I agree, but that's how people search for them. So the good news is that if you've been having trouble with sales, if sales have been slow, here is something that could actually make a big difference for you, and you could turn it around. Okay, question is, if an item is signed, should we add the name of artist or that it is signed, or put signed in item specifics? And this is where it matters. Number one, are people specifically looking for that artist? Because just because something's signed doesn't mean that the artist is sought after. So you have to ask yourself that question. And if it is a sought after artist, then you absolutely want to put their name. If not so important, you know what I do is I still put the artist name in, but it goes, toward the end of the title. So I put signed and the artist name. Whereas if it is, gosh, let me think of a name here. Like a Michael Goddard. So that's something that people search for. So in that particular instance, I would put Michael Goddard signed print. It's probably, my title and then the name of that print. But if it was a not so well-known artist, but it was a really cool print that's going to sell on the eye appeal factor, and the fact that it is signed by the artist gives it value, so you do want to state that. So then you talk about what kind of a print is it. and let's say, then let's say, I always do this to myself. I put myself on the spot. So let's say it is a landscape print signed the artist. Because saying it's signed or signed and numbered does give it value, so you don't want to leave that out, right? And some people don't know what artist they're looking for, but they know they want the signed print. And you want the customer who's looking for the signed print, if you have the signed print, because that tells me it's a customer who will spend more money versus just somebody who's like just browsing for a print. You could put the year in the title and the issue in the listing. You could do that unless it's like an issue that somebody's really, really looking for. There's certain issues of magazines that are like the holy grail of, magazines. So people are searching for those particular issues. But if it is, you want to include what issue it is, but if that's not the most important, item specifics is the next place you want to put it. Because remember, you want to think about your mobile shoppers too. And think, I hate to say this, guys, but descriptions might be going away as we know them. That's not imminent, and I don't have any inside information on that. But I do know that on a mobile phone, that description is not looked at probably 99% of the time. What gets looked at is your title, your item specifics, and whatever little blurb that eBay wants to grab out of your description. But really, people are making the decision on title and item specifics on mobile. All right. How about, real quick, going back to that kitchen set, would you list it a second way? Kids kitchen play set, boys, girls, preschool learning toy, to capture those people who don't search for little Tikes? Nope, I wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is, well, number one, it goes back to my time is money. And a little Tikes kitchen play set should sell on its own merits. And it sells for, a good margin, a good price. And if it's not selling based on Little Tikes kitchen play set, then I say the issue is not the fact that it's a Little Tikes kitchen play set, but then you're looking at more either pictures or price as to why it's not selling. Should we add more custom item titles as to add more information? I always add to the item specifics if eBay doesn't give those to me. The things such as brand, color, size, maker, artist, material, things that are common fields that would be searched for and words that are pertinent, I put in there. All right, let's do some examples. Let's see, this isn't going to let me copy and paste either. Haha, you guys can't see me, put on my glasses. Okay, let's start with Beth's example. So we have a Misuk size small twin set jacket tank set coral black careers. Yeah. So tell me, Beth, what are the most important words in that title? If you could only pull 5 words out of that title, what is the most important for your customer, first of all, to know about this item? Let's start there. Because I don't know this brand. The brand, the size, twin set, and color. Okay, so twin set is a really important word for the person shopping for this. See that, and that's a word I'm not familiar with. So that could be an instance of going over here too and seeing twin set sweater. Oh, it's by search. Okay. So it is a word people are using, not a whole lot. Let me see something else here. Jacket tank set. Let's try that. About the same. Okay, so twin set is okay to use. And then let me just see how popular this brand is. So Misuk Misuk is like your most important word there. And what I get from this is this a knit? I don't know. Let's see. Cardigan tank. Oh, it's an acrylic. Would you consider it a knit? Yeah. So what this just told me, what Merchant Words just told me, is that 7,000 people, 1,500 people a month are putting in the words Misuk knits to search for this type of item. But Misuk is obviously the important word here. So you got that. So I would probably retitle this Misuk Twin Set. I'm not sure. I would take out jacket, because to me it's not a jacket. If it's knit, it's not a jacket. So I would say Misuk knit twin set tank set. That's what I'd call it right there. Size small. That would be my title. And how many words with that? Misuk knit twin set tank set size small. That's 7 words. 7 words. I would put the size at the end, because I think most people are, so again, we're looking at this item. I went and I looked. It's a sought after brand, right? So we know it's a sought after brand. So the person looking for this is searching for a Misuk, and a lot of them are searching for Misuk knits. And then Twin Set is telling them what this one is, and then they go size small. And that's how their brain's going to read it too, because they're going to go, oh, size small. And also, and this goes for any clothing sellers, is you really should have your store sorted by size for people to shop, because once they get in here, if this isn't the item they want to buy, you want to make sure you have something else for them. And people will go and they'll go into their size category and start browsing, okay? So yeah, so I would say most people are not putting the size in first. They're putting the brand in first before the size. They're putting the brand and what it is they're looking for, and then the size. You are welcome. All right, let's look at another one. Okay, glasses on, glasses off. 982463165. This is from Kay. We have, oh, it's sold. No, it didn't sell. Okay, so time to get this sold, right? Let's look at the original listing. So we've got a framed art print Chinese blue white charger deer signed. Okay, what is the most important thing about this piece? I'm a collector. I know this is the piece I want. What am I typing into that search engine? Give me 5 words out of that title that are going to tell me the most about this item. Don't know, you're at a loss. Okay, so if you're at a loss on an item, it looks like it is a, how big is it? It's, oh, you've got some more important information down here. So it is numbered. What I'm trying to see is how big the actual plate inside is, the charger. So there's some information, and I don't know how many people clicked over to this, but that's something else to keep in mind. If they click over and they don't get the information they need, they're not going to buy either. So that's one of the pieces too. Oh, it's a print. It's a print of, okay, so see, I was confused. I was confused. Boy, it sure looks like it's an actual charger, doesn't it? So I would take the word charger out of that title. I think that may be confusing. So this is, hey, I don't think people are looking for framed. I think the most important thing they are looking for with this is Chinese art print. Let's see. Live print of a vintage Chinese blue and white porcelain charger. I'm wondering if you might want to dig a little further into who the artist is on this, because this could actually be like a what do they call those, like one of those ink block prints or silk screen, or something. I mean, it's a limited edition. Granted, it's not a low edition. Might be a little more history, but so let's just say you don't know any more about this other than it's an art print. So Chinese art print, signed, numbered, limited edition is probably what I would put there, because we really don't know all the rest about it. I think charger is confusing. Yeah, and having the color in there is a little confusing. So remember, a confused mind doesn't buy. And people are too lazy to ask questions these days, so they're not going to ask you a question. And I would absolutely spell out limited edition. I wouldn't leave that in abbreviated form. Okay? So that's probably the issue with this one, is that just a little confusion on what the item is. Once I realized what it was, I thought, okay, pictures are fine. Yeah, your pictures are fine. And what's this? Does that give you? Oh, it's from Canada. Made in Canada. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so this is just one of those ones, is really trying to figure out. And then $49.99. Yeah, I think your price was okay just to start at auction. It's just a matter of getting this found by the right person on this one. But just take out some of those little extra confusing words in the title, which goes back, to the title topic. You are welcome. Okay, let's see which one is next. So now we've got 3218 37218 Why does that seem like too many numbers? Anybody else remember when we only had like 5 numbers to remember? You could like actually remember an item number just off the top of your head. Okay, vintage Staffordshire English Spaniels porcelain antique pair of dogs. Oh, great. I'm glad this came up. So this is an example. Are they antique or are they vintage? Because there is a big difference in that. And I know we try to use both words, but the person who's looking for the antique set of Staffordshire dogs is not the person looking for the vintage one. So write it for one or the other. Be very clear. If you know these are antique, then say they're antique. If they're not antique or you're not sure, then you don't want to use that word, because antique aficionados can get very irritated with that. Let me just see the marks on the bottom. Made in England. Wood. Okay. So let's go take a look. And this is, oops, I don't have another eBay screen up. Wait, let me get one up here. 1 second. Okay, so let's look. So we know these are Staffordshire, and you know what? My brain's just going, there's Staffordshire dogs, but let's just start there. And let's pull up highest first, and then let's go to sold listings. Antique Staffordshire dogs. Boom. And notice they sold for $750. So if they truly are antique, you want to just say that. White Spaniel dogs. The auction, and you know what? You almost have to kind of disregard the auction results when doing this. Antique pair Staffordshire Spaniel dogs. Antique pair, antique figurine, Staffordshire set of white dogs. So if they're antique, antique's a really important word to put up front. Wonderful pair. I would not use the word wonderful, but they had pair of 19th century Staffordshire dog spaniel figurines. So that's probably what got them the sale on that one. Is that making sense? So I'd go back and I would call these, and do you know if they're antique or if they're vintage? And these are Jessie's. Oops. Are you sure they're antique? Okay. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to tell you two things then. Yes, you're going to change the title, but yes, you're also going to up the price if these are truly antiques. So I would call this antique pair of Staffordshire dogs. And then you could add English Spaniels in there at the end. I don't have a problem with that. But take out porcelain and take out vintage. You got an offer of $100. I bet you did. And the other thing with these is it's not bad pictures, but they could be better. I would work on getting your background to be all white and kind of cropping out extra and doing a little contrast on these and make them pop. But I would definitely, going back and looking at these examples, you know what? I don't have a problem if you price these in around the $750 range. Because what's going to happen if you go and I would just end them and sell similar, and I would change your title, and I would up the price to about $750 with the make offer and do expedited shipping. Don't do economy. Offer them better shipping for that price, because that also helps people who are spending a lot of money feel assured that you care about them. But what's going to happen is you're going to get offers now closer to the $300 range, right? Don't get greedy. If you get a good offer between $300 and $750, grab it up. Grab it up. Or what might also happen is you're going to get somebody who's going to give you some information to tell you why or why not these are antique. But if you have provenance and you know they are antique, then by all means, up the price. All right. That's a good one. That one you can definitely fix that title pretty easy. And Judy, you're having trouble finding an item number. eBay's made them a little hard to find these days, but if you go down right above where the description starts, eBay item number is here in little teeny tiny small print. So that's where you can go find that item number. All right, let's look at it. Is this helpful, guys? You want to keep doing a few more of these? Okie dokie. Okay, what do we got? We got A&W 12-inch Great Root Beer Stuffed Animal Bear. And I think you're probably hearing me say it out loud, like that just didn't quite flow. And this is a case where using the ampersand is actually okay, because it is the way the logo is written. It is what people will be typing in. So A&W, I'd call it A&W Root Beer. And let's go see, are people searching for stuffed animal, or are they searching for, oh, he's the Great Root, okay. Let's go take a look. Are they searching for plush, or are they searching for stuffed animal? So it's A&W Root Beer. I'm just going to put Root Beer Bear in here real quick. And is it the same one? Is that Rudy? Not quite. A little bit. But is that the name of the bear? It looks like it's Rudy, the Great Root Beer Bear. Ah, there you go. So if it's Rudy the Great Root Beer Bear, say that 6 times fast, and the collector knows that, that's what they're typing in. So I'm thinking that the size is not what they're searching for. So I would call it A&W Rudy the Great Root Beer Bear stuffed animal or plush. Pick one. I don't know, what are they putting in here? Plush, stuffed plush. I always like to say that collectors call it plush. People looking for a children's toy call it a stuffed animal. So I tend to lean toward the side of calling it plush because plush buyers tend to be the buyers who spend more money on these things. So that's how I change it. I would take 12-inch out of the title and put that in your item specifics. And also, just a little aside, whenever I'm listing plush, see his little tushy tag right there? I take a picture of it. People want to see that to know, collectors know the different tags that go with the different things and the relevance that they have. So just take a little close-up of the tushy tag. All right. Let's see, Linda's got one. 301710988689. We have a Rouge jewelry music box, Burlwood Vintage, Italy Plays, Can't Help Falling in Love. So again, you can see that flow of words kind of is a little disconnected. So what are people calling these music boxes? I mean, I think Rouge jewelry, is it a jewelry? Or let's go take a look. And we'll just use the good old little Amazon example. I'm going to put just that first word in. Aha, Rouge music box. They're not calling it a jewelry box. Jewelry box is way, way down in what people are typing in. So that's important to know. So I would call it a Rouge music box. What'd I put Burlwood in there? I will tell you something too. I still am using the word a lot because my VA determines what to put over on Etsy based on my use of the word. I don't think as many people are putting the term vintage into titles anymore. I think people are specifically looking for the item, mostly out of the fact that it's an extra thing to type. Now, if there's a vintage version and a new version, then that's where the vintage words becomes more relevant. But be careful of overusing the word vintage because it's getting less play in searches. So it can be one of those extra words that actually counts against you. So especially like in this case, people know they are looking for a Rouge music box. I would put Burlwood into the title at the end. Rouge music box, Burlwood. I would actually keep Can't Help Falling in Love in there unless you're getting a lot of views and no buys, and then perhaps move that. Because I do know some people do search for certain ones of these music boxes based on the song they play. So I think that's an important piece that somebody could be typing in. But I would take out vintage and Italy and plays and jewelry, and put the Italy down in your item specifics and just tighten up that title. All right. Oh, Judy found one. Great. 252123169258. And Carter's Infant Little Pumpkin one-piece romper. So the words go in a nice order, but here's something, and I'm glad this came up. So the quotation marks will actually stop anybody who didn't type that specific phrase in just that way from finding this item. It tells the search engine it's got to be just like this. So you don't want to use quotations in your titles at all. And then I'm a little confused because it says My First Halloween, and it says Little Pumpkin in the, so let me just see, is that what the Carter's tag says? It says Little Occasions. So Little Pumpkin isn't on this anywhere. So how is somebody really searching for this? Think about it. Somebody has their baby, it's their first Halloween. What do you think that they are typing in that search? They are typing in my first Halloween outfit. Oh, I'm betting you. I'm betting you. Let's just look. How many searches for my first Halloween? Oh, here we go. My first Halloween sleeper, my first Halloween newborn, my first Halloween pajamas, all of that, right? My first Halloween baby outfit. So that's your ideal customer. Are they specifically searching for Carters? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking they are searching for a My First Halloween, like we said over here. What was that first one? Sleeper. My First Halloween sleeper. Got the most results over on Amazon, so I'd go with that, and I would use that. So I would change this to, you know what? It's okay to leave Carter's. It's a really well-known brand, and if somebody types in Carter's Halloween sleeper, it's still going to come up. So Carter's, My First Halloween sleeper, and then I would put bib set, pumpkins, because the pumpkins is the least important part of that. But yet, if somebody's searching for pumpkins with this, you want that. So that, and I would leave the 6 month. I would take out the period and the NWT, because nowadays people aren't searching the NWT like they used to. They're just filtering for the new ones if they want a new one. So yeah, Carter's, My First Halloween, sleeper, bib set, pumpkin, size 6 months. That's how I'd type that one up. And if I were you, I would not run this on auction. I would take this off of auction. I would get this on fixed price, raise the price, add best offer, because somebody's searching for this. They do not want to wait. Halloween's around the corner. They're shopping. They want to get this into their hands as quickly as possible. All right. Let's see. Should we add full description in those item specific sections so we can get the No. Remember, mobile users, like, they're skimming. They want the basics and they want it fast. They want the bullets. They want the facts. So no, you just want to give them the facts. Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Looking to speed up listing process, is it okay to fill up item specifics, especially with the bullet point info, and cut down on the description and eliminate the bullet points from the description? Doing the description always slows me down because I'm writing very detailed ones and putting in bullet points. So with your descriptions, they don't need to be very detailed, but they need to be there. So whatever things that you're putting in item specifics, you want to repeat that in the description, because you're also telling the search engine the relevance is that, oops, it's in the title, it's in the item specifics, and it's in the description. This is absolutely what this is. But you don't have to write a whole, essay on what the item is. We do bullet points. We have a template. We simply change out the information on the lines in the bullet points, and we do a very, very short descriptive, benefit-driven, it's not even a paragraph, it's a couple of lines talking about, Isn't this the most adorable thing? Don't you just want this on your shelf? And, you know, we kind of use the same thing over and over. And that makes listing really easy. Okay, let's see. What about using a video clip in the description of a listing? Videos are great. You know, anytime you have a video, if you've got that kind of a shopper, the videos could clinch the deal for them. Also, if you do videos over on YouTube and you link back to your item, YouTube's a very, very powerful search engine in and of itself, and you can get the item sold that way. Should vintage just be in the item specifics? No, not unless you know the date it was made. So that's what people are more likely to be searching for nowadays than vintage is what era was it done in. Is it 50s? Is it 60s? Is it 70s? Is it 80s? That's more important to them than just saying vintage. I think we have one more here. Let's look at this one. 3017 109 88689. Oh, no, that's the same one. Never mind. I just didn't take that one off. Beth is saying you should use Sorrento, Italy. Is that where these are made, Beth? Let's just play with that one a little bit. So, Rouge music box. Let me just put that in. And, oh, let me take out. All right, we got Bessa. Okay, so here's something else funny. Without even clicking over, I'm telling you, some of these belong to the same seller. I can just tell by their style and the all caps, but they probably specialize in these. So rare. Do not use the word rare, guys. Just because you see a result and somebody used it, I'm also going to tell you, doesn't mean you should use it because you don't know what drove traffic to that particular listing and got it sold. So be careful of that too. People are still getting away with all kinds of bad stuff. Marketing can overcome bad titles too. So I'm not seeing anybody put Burlwood, and I'm not seeing anybody put Sorrento, Italy. I think I would put the Sorrento, Italy in the item specifics, not in the title. Crazy, huh? An interesting thing too is things that are collector's items, things like this where people are doing a lot of collecting, they have saved searches. So you may not have had your item come up actually in the search engine as much as it got sent in an email to a collector. So I suspect that a lot of these high-priced ones sold that way because they got put in front of the collector and put on a watch list. You can see it's a highly collectible item though. So yep, I stick with what I said before. All right, do you have an example you can show of the type of description you are talking about? Just wanted to get an idea. Of course I do. Let's see if we can make this happen. Let's go over to a little store called Utterly Good Stuff. I actually just listed this one today. See my title? Baby horse napkin holder. And there's my description. This is all template. I don't have to put any of this in every time. I simply hit sell similar. Here's my bullets. The top one is always basically a reiteration of what we put in the title. This is actually one where my assistant had written up the title and I took out silhouette and black, but I left those down in the description. And then we have the measures approximately always in there. We just change the numbers. And then we have the condition always in here, but that also is a copy paste real quick from what we had up in the condition box. So, and then the rest, this baby horse is sure to bring a smile to all who sit at your table. Boom, done. It's that quick. Does that help, Bob? In regards to selling clothing, should I put the size of the item at the end of the title? I thought it needed to be in the first 5 words. So it's going to depend. Are people actually shopping by that size? Or are they already in, your size category, or already in a size category? So let me just give you an example that will show how these categories look. So I'm going to search for, oh gosh, throw a brand name at me. I'm not a clothes shopper, so Talbots. Okay. So I'm looking for a Talbot's Levi's. Why does that not look right to me? I don't think there's an E in Levi's, is there? Yeah, exactly. All right. So Talbot's Levi's. You know what? There's not enough result. I want to show you a better example here. Okay, 73,454 listings if I put in Talbot's. So I'm a shopper. I knew I was looking for the brand name Talbot's. Guess what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to, I want women's clothing, and I'm going to narrow this down to like what I want to shop for. I'm even going to say that I'm looking for jeans. Remember, Levi's is a brand name, so you don't want to say Levi's unless you got Levi's. You want to say jeans, okay? And look at here. This has made it very easy for people to go, click, I only want to see the things in my size. So that's why they're not putting the size so much up in the search. They're putting the size over in all of this nice little filtering and then getting the results back. So you say yours was a jeans jacket. So let's go back there. Let me not do jeans. Let me say I'm looking for coats and jackets. Okay, so I know I'm looking for a jacket, and I know I'm looking for extra large. Boom. I don't need to put, all I need to put is Talbot's up into the search actually. So yeah, so Talbot's, and is it jean jacket or is, okay, look, jean jacket, I can actually come right down to jean jacket. So that is, the fact that eBay uses jean jacket means that's what you want to use. So jean jacket, Talbot, jean jacket, size, blah, blah, blah. So it can be in that first 5 words. So Talbot's, jean jacket, size, extra large. Boom. All right, I think I've caught up with all the questions. Steven says, I notice you don't list metric dimensions for the rest of the world. I do not. I am listing on eBay.com, and I trust that the person who is shopping from another country understands that they're going to need to do a little math. And that has worked very well for me. You know, if I was listing on the UK site or on the Italy site, then I would use metrics because that's how they're used to shopping. But they're savvy enough to be coming over to the .com site, which means they are savvy enough to put in what they need to find. It's more time. You have to look at the ROI. Would the extra time of my putting in all those metric dimensions pay off with increased sales? Right? It's so important to know when you're doing your extra stuff, is there an ROI, which is return on your investment? And that's a return on an investment of your time. My mom says with yarn and needle crafts, the metrics are listed on the labels. Well, that makes it super easy then. I did just list something on Amazon where I used 236 ml instead of the ounces, because it was strategic, because everyone else was listing it, by the ounce. So my page was going to be by the metric, just to kind of test that market. All right, guys, I think we covered all of your questions. Yay! So this may be for another webinar, but I was taught that the description keyword density is really important for searches, and to either underline, italics, or bold the keyword phrase, because it will help the SEO of the listing. Is this something that is not necessary? So that does go along with what I was saying about how you do want it in the title, the item specifics, and the description. So there's where your keyword density comes into play. As far as underlining, italics, and bolding, always remember you want to write for the human being who is looking at your listing. When they get to your item, you do not want to drive them away with a bunch of extra stuff. You want to keep it clean and simple as possible. There is no way to, what's the word I'm looking for? You will drive yourself crazy trying to write things for the best SEO. You really want to get just back to the very basic core of writing things for your customers. Because in fact, when you write for your customers, you are writing for the search engines. You are writing for the SEO. Because the more you think like your buyer, the better you have of coming up in these searches. And there is no way to game the searches. There just isn't. It is really, that's why niche, 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 because the more niched you are, the more every single item that you are writing up leads to the next item and the next item and the next item. And when you're listing books today and toys tomorrow and jewelry the next day, you're having to reinvent the wheel every single day. Your listings aren't all working cohesively to bring you the right customers. And it's about really getting the right people with their eyeballs on the stuff that you're selling. And it's becoming a fast-paced, competitive e-commerce world out there. So everything we can do to really speak to our ideal customer for the things we're selling will result in a better ROI of our time, and not having to hold on to things for years hoping for the right buyer to come along. That's a practice that is one of my next things I'm going to really start harping on, because I've had a financial guy harping on me. So I'm like, okay, this is making sense, this is making sense. We really want to list it and turn it, list it and turn it, list it and turn it, and keep the cash flow coming. That's what this business is all about, is cash flow. So really keeping it as simple as possible and having our buyers not be confused by our listings is the best way to get the quote-unquote SEO going. All right, guys. Oh, I see one more question. How much can or should we add to the item-specific section? Add what's important. Add what's important to the sale. Add the stuff that your buyer needs to know that is too much to really add into the title. The stuff that they're not actually putting in the search when they search, but it's information that makes a difference to them. So again, it's those things like color, size, artist, brand, designer, those types of things. Okay? All right, happy to continue the conversation over in the Appsters Facebook group, and we will watch those titles start coming around and watch your stuff sell. Thanks, everyone. I know this turned into another long one, but thanks for hanging out, being here, and we will see you next time.